We're also learning about how Muslim schools or Islamic education use pedagogy in learning. Their traditional Islamic pedagogy, textual pedagogy, meaning that they learn from what the Prophet said or the Prophet tradition, learning from the Quran, and created traditional Islamic pedagogy. We can find traditional Islamic pedagogy in our traditional Islamic education system. We have Sarogan and Bandongan in pesantren, and we also have tradition of, for example, a lot of Muslim schools in Indonesia interpret the Prophet's tradition, the Hadith, about the importance of 3 types of physical exercise. It's archery, swimming, and horse riding. So, and it's practiced in all over Muslim schools. It's actually textual understanding of the importance of physical exercise. And it happens in a lot of Muslim schools in Indonesia. And we also have schools that adopted Western pedagogy, the democratic pedagogy, the student-centered pedagogy, and other ways that pedagogy based on humanity. And nowadays, a lot of Muslim scholars propose what we call transformative Islamic pedagogy, meaning that the textual and the Islamic texts, the Quran and Hadith, become the source of values of pedagogy. It is important to teach our students about Islam, about Sharia, about akhlaq, about aqidah, but the most important thing is how to repackage those content in a new way that engaging to our students, so that the student can join the learning. They enjoy learning with us, not one-way instruction like the traditional pedagogy has. And also empirical, we do not only practice the pedagogy based on text, but also based on research. So Islamic education should do more research about pedagogy among Muslim schools. So we are also facing technology in Islamic education. We have to use technology as tools for learning. We have to use technology as media of teaching and learning. We have to use technology as resources for learning, and we have technology as contents to learn. So technology as tools for learning. We use a lot of application. We use computer, use internet as a way to improve the capability, the experiences of our students. We use technology as media. We use Zoom, we use Google Meet, and a lot of other ways of teaching and learning. We use technology. We use technology as resource for learning. It is a challenge for Muslim teachers to produce more and more learning resources based on technology. We already have a lot of learning resources in technology, but I think we have to produce more learning resources that is more enjoyable by students, so that they can learn it with their freedom. They can learn it with their choice, not they learn it because they have to learn it. And technology as contents to learn, technology as knowledge, technology as skills that our students should learn, that our students should comprehend as the tool for their future. So why we use technology? The purpose of using technology, we have to have an effective learning. We have to get engaging learning. We have to have relevant resources for learning. We have to get accessible resources for learning. So Islamic education needs to promote universal values, values that are applicable anywhere, anytime. We have to promote comprehensiveness of education. It's not only teaching about knowledge, we also have to improve the skills of a student, the effective of our student, the heart of a student, and also the awareness of a student. We should make Islamic education accessible for all, not only for those who are attending school, but also students everywhere. And we have to promote Islamic education across generation. In terms of professionalism, I think our teachers need to continue to master their subject, whatever the subject that they are teaching. We have to make sure that our teacher have empathy to students. They are technology literate, because there's no place for teachers who are not familiar with technology. And we have to make sure that our teachers are part of community of learners. And the most important thing, as I earlier said, our teachers should understand transformative Islamic pedagogy. I think with these 5 principles, we can create professional Islamic education teachers. So thank you for the time, and looking forward to have discussion with you. Thank you, Bu Rosida. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi, and I think it supports the discussion that we have done yesterday evening, that you have proposed that it would
I can hear Bu Rosida's voice. I cannot hear.
okay, yeah. Bapak, thank you for your presentation, and I think what you have presented, it support the discussion of yesterday evening with Prof. Azra and the other speakers, that we are living in a changing world and we need different ways, different strategy, and as you said, we need to understand the transformative Islamic pedagogy, and we will elaborate the idea of Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi and other speaker after the presentation is finished. Now, we are going to the next speakers. Sorry. Yes. I think now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Tan Sri Muhammad Sahri bin Sahrir from International Islamic University, Malaysia. Have Professor Muhammad Sabri has joined the room? Oh yes, okay. Welcome, Bapak Professor Dr. Tan Sri Muhammad Sabri bin Sahrir. Okay, operator, please play the video. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, please welcome our third speaker, Professor Dr. Tan Sri Muhammad Sabri bin Sahrir. For the next 15 minutes, the time is yours.
and very good morning. I hope, inshallah, my voice is clear.
Yes, we can hear you.
First of all, I would like to thank our chairperson for this morning, and I'm very grateful to be invited to share my ideas in this conference, in this international conference. So I would like also to record my gratitude to the honorable speakers, the first speaker and the second, and after that the fourth speaker. And inshallah, I hope the discussion after the session will be meaningful to all of us. So this is my first time to participate in this conference organized in Indonesia, and I will share my slide for this session. I hope where's the button? Okay, so I hope the slides are clear on the screen. Okay, so first of all, I think my third presentation is related also to the first and the second presentations that were presented by our respected speakers, whereby the whole idea of presentation that was presented by the first speaker was related to the assessment, and also by the second speaker was related to the use of Islamic education and also the use of technology. So from my point of view, I am my expertise is on the language education and in particular instructional technology. So I will be sharing my ideas based on the pandemic experience that we all of us have going through together, and also the future of education in post-COVID era. So I think I will try to elaborate my presentation, to relate my presentation based on the three sub-themes of this conference, which are moderate, tolerate, and professional. So as mentioned earlier, especially by the second presenter, our expert in Islamic education, I think we all of us can agree that the pandemic has taught us to many issues related to education, not only in the use of technology, but in terms of using technology as the platform and the tools in teaching and learning. I think I think and the use of technology is still important, and still can be using in post-COVID era. So my presentation will present a part of findings that I have conducted during the pandemic, which was last year, and the findings and the study was conducted among the school teachers school teachers in Malaysia, in various states in Malaysia. I think we are familiar that Malaysia has 14 states in Malaysia, and that's how I conducted this study to explore how the teachers, especially the school teachers, are having the experience of teaching language education, especially in Arabic, in their school by using technology. As mentioned earlier, I think we all can all of us have the idea what are the challenges, what the problems, obstacles that we all of us are going through together. But maybe this sharing session can give us more in-depth results and findings that we can learn from each other. So I think the situation that we are living right now, especially in the era of post-COVID, I think the cases are still there. This is the yesterday statistic in Malaysia, around still 2,000 cases, and the education cluster, especially in schools, showing the increasing numbers of infected of infections. So meaning to say, we have to strategize our teaching and learning strategies, our teaching and learning platforms, and also pedagogy. So that's why I am sharing this session, this presentation, because my presentation is related to the study of TPEC, the technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge among school teachers. So I think in all over the world, I think now the schools, this educational institutions, including schools, colleges, universities, I think all now they are opening their businesses. Maybe in the last semester in Malaysia, some universities are using the face-to-face teaching and learning environments, but some of them are still using the online and even the hybrid learning platforms. So maybe by the next semester, all of universities and also schools will be using face-to-face teaching and learning strategies. So I think this is based on the presentation. I think on the slides, I think all of us can understand, read, and have going through the situation. I think this is the global situation that all of us have been going through together around 2 years, and we have learned a lot of experiences, and we can reflect what we have going to strategize to modify based on the future education. And now we are listening to various terms such as post-COVID education, the flexible education, and many things which are related to the teaching and learning, and as well the assessment. So I think until now, for me as the language teacher, from the perspective of language education, the teachers are still trying to adapt this situation. because the COVID is still there, yeah, and the cases are still increasing and decreasing, and the condition is not so stable. So meaning to say, when they found the cases in the schools, they have to adapt, they have to modify the teaching and learning the strategies in the classroom, and including also in the university. That's why in Malaysia, especially in the last week, the Minister of Education is proposing the use of hybrid learning, but the challenges are to what extent the schools are ready to adapt this new proposed learning environment, learning situation, and to what extent the facilities are ready. So meaning to say, although we are going through 2 years of pandemic experience, but still after pandemic, in the era of endemic, post-COVID, still we are having the same problem. So that's why these are the challenges that we have to think together among us, especially in the Muslim world. So maybe we can collaborate together, and also we can assist each other to find the solutions. This during the pandemic, we especially in the Ministry of Education in Malaysia, we have issued the guideline on how to implement teaching and learning at home. In Bahasa Melayu Malaysia, we pronounce it as PDPR, pembelajaran di rumah. So in school and offices, we are using work from home. So these are also the challenges. These are also the prospect that we can adapt, especially among the lecturers. So meaning to say, maybe we can have flexible learning, teaching and learning environments, lecturers, and also for the students at school, and also for the teachers. So this is we can find the information from the internet. So this is the manual of PDPR, which was issued by KPM, Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. The guideline have two version 1.0 and 2.0. So the challenges. Now I think instead of using education 4.0, some universities, some scholars are also introducing the term of education 5.0, and these are the discussions that are happening among the scholars and also the practitioners in education. And after the cases of COVID, now we can see the educators, the policymakers in education, they are also discussing on the impact of COVID for the education in the future, near future or far future. So this so the outbreak of this COVID, I think for this generation, I would like to present some of the findings. So the participants who were participating in this, maybe I can say mini study, mini research, they are from Arabic school teachers, teaching in various schools in Malaysia, around 75. So the focus of the study is how they implemented TPAC, the component of TPAC, technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, TPAC. Because when we are using technology, we have also to master other elements such as pedagogy and also content. So this study has also exploring on how they implementing the teaching and learning, are also conducting online assessment in their teaching and learning session. So in this study, before the survey was distributed to the participants, and the teachers, the school teachers, they have participated in the two-day workshop conducted by me as the main trainer. The main organizer is the Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia in collaboration with the ASESCO Center of Malaysia. So after the 2-day session and workshop, the participants, the school teachers, were required to participate in the survey, which consists of 5 Likert scale survey and also the open-ended questionnaire. This is the information. This is the information which is related to the data collection. Which the training session was the training sessions. Various training sessions were conducted in 2 different times, which was on March 2021 and also March and also November. So this is the findings which are related to the demographic info of the school teachers. So I think I'm not sure. Maybe we can reflect this on the Muslim in Indonesia as well. In Malaysia, most of the teachers are female. I'm not sure about Indonesia. So the majority of the teachers, the school teachers, are female. So the male teachers are the minority. These are the genders. You can see the majority of the teachers, school teachers, are between the age of 41 and 50. The compulsory. Yeah.
Bapak Muhammad Sabri, your time is 1 more minute.
Okay, inshallah. So I will show you this very quickly on the demographic info. Okay. Maybe you can require the request. We have the slide later from the organizer. Is the findings. But what I want to conclude is the responses show the response show to us what the issues that we have to take to give our most of our support to enhance the teaching, the language education in the future, especially such as the technological support, e-learning resources, instructional support, also the human resource issues, online assessment, and also the suggested applications and platforms. And these are and also another thing is these are the issues that maybe we can discuss later. The issues in the education COVID-19, the needs and challenges, the action plan for solutions, cooperation between the stakeholders, policy, the roles of parents, and the implications of COVID-19 on language education. These are the issues. Maybe we can have a look and read by ourselves. And for future consideration, maybe I would like to take this at the end of my presentation. Maybe we have to consider these issues: flexible learning, online learning, blended learning. Although now we are going back to our face-to-face, but we can also stick to these strategies. We can still use flexible learning, like what we are doing now. We are having the online conferences, so not necessarily to have to travel to Bandung from Kuala Lumpur, so we can conduct the online and sharing sessions, sharing our knowledge and experiences among the scholars and also the students and the lecturers. Maybe also we have to revise of our academic program and the issues of graduate employability, job creator now, as mentioned earlier by the second presenter, because of COVID, maybe the nature of job creation is creators are more related to digital platform, and also the challenges of the effect of COVID and lockdown. Maybe we have to find out the missing families that maybe who from the families that have lost the job and also missing the education opportunity. So I think the last point we can read from the presentation. So I think that's all from my presentation that I can share with the organizer and all of the presenters this morning. And thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My voice is clear. Of assistant moderator,
Yeah.
just correction from me. TS is not
Yeah.
Tansri. TS mean my professional technologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank
because
you.
the TS is before doctor, so Professor Technologist Dr. Muhammad Sabri. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the correction. Yeah. Thank you for the presentation, and this is very interesting because I noted there are two key words: flexible and also collaboration. That we can elaborate later after the presentation. And now I would like to invite the last speaker. She is here with us in the room. I would like to invite Ibu Dr. Susi Fitri MSI Cons. Please join me in the stage from Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Okay. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our fourth speaker, Ibu Dr. Susi Fitri. For the next 15 minutes, the time is yours, Ibu.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be in the same room with many scholars that I will talk about the thing that we rarely talk in our education, and we also invite collaborative research in this area because there's not a lot of research doing in this area due to our education usually think about how we what we built and we delivered a worker rather than a citizen. So this is what I'm going to talk, and I want to talk about this. Aku berdiri ya. I'm standing. Okay. This is the thing that I want to talk about, the trauma as educational context, because I'm coming from the guidance and counseling, and as we see that debate, the first that why I have this kind of issue that I want to share with you, because there are two things. First, if we want to talk about the moderate and inclusive in our society and being professional, we need to talk about what the barrier that we need. Even for the first place, we need to talk about the moderation in education. To be moderate people, what's that mean? This kind of thing that is not coming from the vacuum circumstances. There is certain circumstances that we feel that we need to talk about it. And also the inclusivity. The inclusivity is that we often talk, but we never talk about why the first place we need to talk about this. What kind of the circumstances that we need to talk about this. And next. There is the dominant narrative in education debate. We oftenly talk about education in terms of that we want to produce workers, professionals. And these lead sometimes this narrative sometimes lead to what I think as achievement regime, that we only think that our students only person who achieves something, and that thing should be something related to work, not related to them as a self, and that lead to them as a citizens. We know that when we people go to school, we think that they are going to work, but being a worker is not all us to be. Most of us are going to be parents, I think, and we need to parents who are healthy enough to have children, and to be a citizen. And if are healthy enough mentally, they can be a good citizen, and they become good citizen. Maybe we have a good and dignity society. And the other thing that dominant narrative in education in Indonesia is very much related to what we call character building. But if we look at closely to character building, it seems like that this narrative will and lead to more to what I think as control students, to be obeyed, to be confirmed. While in our society, we need maybe students who, for example, against something that is harmful for our society. In this forum, I think we talk about the radicalism, but the radicalism is only one thing. And there's a lot of things that we need to challenge that kind of ideology. And we need students that it's not only confirmed, but also challenge. And next. Next, please. And this is where I'm coming from. I'm a lecturer of guidance and counseling. I'm teaching multicultural counseling and teaching a family counseling. In these two classes, I'm doing reflective methods to gain stories from my students, based on their social identity, like their religion, their ethnic, their race, their sexuality, their gender, and their social class, and based on their stories. And I find out there's a lot of experience that what I can call as a traumatic event, traumatic experience. But then also in those stories, they said they never talk to their parents, and they never talk to their teacher. And this kind of experience is never been mentioned and never been discussed in our school, while these kind of things will very much affect how they learn, how they feel, how they become self. I will talk about this later. Next, please. So what is a trauma? A trauma is something that's very much affect and have long time effect to ourselves, to our become somebody. And this kind of trauma can be happen in our school, and especially can be experienced in our family. Next, please. And this is a trauma. Trauma is a result from the event or series of events or set of circumstances. It is not only event, but also circumstances that is experienced by individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening. That is very important issue in education, and that has lasting adverse effect of individuals' functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So by this, we can see that trauma affects a lot of our aspect of our life, if not mention that all of our life. Next, please. This is the key important issues. This is something that maybe we are not really understand, because we thought trauma is only happen in very something shocking, very big, like disaster, crime, witnessing crime, like accidents, like traffic accidents or something very big. But trauma can be acute. It can be acute, short and big, or also it can be long and prolonged. And especially this kind of trauma, like chronic trauma, it will happen in our family, in our school. There's a lot of students that are actually traumatized by their school experience because of their relationship to their peers or their relationship to their teachers. Next, please. The important thing about trauma is the trauma is not only the event itself as some objective event, but also how people perceive it. Some event maybe not cause trauma for certain people, but some event can be traumatic for certain people. So how people perceive it is not based on how people or society think that is the event look like, but how the individual think about the event. At some level of event may be traumatic, like disaster can be traumatic, but some simple thing like being humiliated, being belittling, being said that you're stupid, you're incapable, you're ugly, you are bad for a long time can be traumatic. That's what we call prolonged trauma. So why understanding trauma in our society if we want to become a moderate and inclusive society? Because trauma is very expensive. It's expensive burden of health because many illness is caused by trauma. And also many kinds of mass violence. For example, Indonesia has experienced many mass violence, but we never see it as we never talk about it as a traumatic event, not only for the victim or for witnesses, but also for the perpetrator. Many perpetrators may be people who has trauma before. And substance, alcohol, and sexual abuse. Research show this kind of addiction, this kind of abuse is very much has trauma related. So we need more research on this. Domestic violence obviously causes trauma and will sustain trauma. because domestic violence, especially physical and sexual violence, is the two main factor for certain crime like murder and sexual offense. That those two kind of big crime will mostly related to physical and sexual domestic abuse. And it's also expensive for burden in human development because trauma can be intergenerational. Like if my grandma has a traumatic event, it will be my mother may be affected, I will be affected of it. Even though not many research on this, but I find in my counseling sessions like May Riot, it also affects how mothers raise their daughters with this with those anxiety, traumatic. So they raise daughter differently if they have trauma. And next, please. And trauma experience. I will talk about three kinds of experience, trauma experience. One based on my research now that I'm doing research on sexual experience on students, on counselor students. I found there is not 8 actually. There is 10 kinds of sexual events, sexual traumatic events that we rarely talk about this in our school, and it's very important. And family abuse. This very. I was shocked to find that family abuse and family violence is more. It's having more than we thought about. More than we think that it happens. Especially neglection. It seems like neglection in our society is very much common, and the effect is very much. We can observe the effect of the neglection, and the last is nowadays context, that is pandemic. When we talk about pandemic, we only talk about how it affects school, but we not a lot talk about how pandemic affect our students' emotion because they grieve, because they lost significant others like their parents, their peers, their teachers, for example. And also there is a more not we talk about this ambiguous loss, the loss that we experience because of the pandemic, but not that like loss of job, loss of connection. We cannot connect with many people, and some people it can lead some traumatic loneliness for themselves. Next, please. And this is the theme that I find in my research. There's childhood sexual abuse as assault. It's more happen than we thought. There's a lot of there are a lot of our students experience childhood sexual abuse, whether it is public, whether it is in their home, whether it is with peers at school, whether it is with teachers at school. And body image assault, sexual identity, sexual conflict, school sexual assault, intimate sexual violence, family sexual violence, it is more happen than we thought. So I think we need more research on this area because they will affect how they learn and affect how they achieve something. And next, please. And this is family abuse. I have this kind of data from my teaching that sibling rivalry is very much common. Like parents love to compare between siblings, for example, that can be traumatic. And physical, emotional, and verbal abuse and parental infidelity. When we talk about the parental affair, we usually talk about how, for example, the wife affected by the affair, or how husband affected by the affair. But we rarely talk about how children affected by parental infidelity, and the effect is huge. They become less trust to the peers, less trust to their future husband or future wife, for example. And I think that it will affect how they will raise their children. And next, please. And this family context that we are talking, there is certain grieving, like significant other death, that will be grief that is not easy to chew psychologically. But there's also what we call ambiguous loss, like family abuse, disconnect during this pandemic, job loss, and COVID transmitter. I think this is we rarely talk about that, how the guilty feeling that the person has if they transmit the COVID and that person die. And we rarely talk about it. That can have a guilty feeling. And in counseling, we talk that guilty feeling is silent killer. So if you don't talk about it, that will kill you silently. Next, please. This is the resource of students' trauma. I think we need more research on this area, that people can be trauma in home, school, or in the country. Some country has many social conflict, war, for example, political conflict. It can be cause trauma, and also the city itself. A city that is very bad in circumstances will cause trauma. A lot of crime, for example. And next, please. This is that I offer as a trauma-informed school. That school now, especially in early childhood, need to have a trauma-informed school. Next, please. What is trauma-informed school? The trauma-informed school is school that is respond appropriately to event that is traumatic for the students, and also have resource. Yeah, they have to collaborate resource and managing resource to respond to this kind of trauma. We often talk about the bully, and we should know that bully cause trauma. So school need to have this kind of about informed school. Next, please. Why school need to participate in healing trauma? Because the healing power of classroom, for example, educators is important members of the students' micro life. They trust teachers, and sometimes teachers can be second family or second parents. So students trust teachers. That's why I need teachers to involve. And also teaching is about connection in relation. We often talk about the teaching as to achieve something, teaching to deliver content. But one thing that we should not forget, that teaching is about connection. Teaching is about relation. And next, please. And this is the sign trauma. If we look at the signs of trauma, this is maybe we oftenly dismiss, or we might think that the sign of trauma as something delinquent, problematic to children behavior. For example, down in grade, or detachment from peers, for example, or become violence, or maybe toileting in the bathroom. We often suspicious about what happened in the bathroom, but sometimes they are just crying, or they just need a place to be calm, to be alone, because the school sometimes can be so overwhelmed. And if we or maybe the student concern questioning and double checking, and maybe have a difficult behavior or misbehavior at school. That's very much a behavior that we often look at the school. And next, please. And this is how the indicate student might have experienced trauma. And if we look at this cognition, behavior, and socialization, if this happen to our students, no wonder that the job of teacher become difficult, because trauma make a student find it difficult to understand the instruction, difficult to solve the problem, difficult to work with the peers, difficult to be in the place, be in the school. That's very much different. So if we are not respond to the trauma in our school, this is what happens to our students. And if this kind of happens, keep on going in our school, we are not going to have the students that will be ready to learn and ready to achieve something. Or maybe they achieve something because of the traumatic response. They want to achieve something not because they want to develop their capacity. They want to develop because they want to acceptance. Next, please. As this is the strategies to increase sensitivity and support students experiencing trauma in individual classroom. There are three things that we need to talk. We need to elaborate, like establish a social and emotional safety. Safeness is very important for students who are traumatic. So we need to be able to make strategy, to choose methods, to choose the way we listen, to choose the content that makes students feel safe, and also to process the education, to process the teaching and learning in our school as a safe place for students to learn, and create behavior management that focus on positive reinforcement. We often focus on negative reinforcements, and now I think we need to focus on positive reinforcement, and also increase our self-awareness and trauma competence as a teachers, because we never know, maybe a student who is traumatic is in our school, in our class. Next, please. I know I doing research on trauma. If you want to know what kind of trauma that may you experience during your childhood or your life even now, you can go to this Google form and instrument and try to fill it. Then maybe you will understand that what kind of trauma and maybe whether you are experiencing trauma or not. Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for Ibu Sufit, and please give applause to our fourth speaker. Okay, now we will have the Q&A session, and let's see here. Actually, the issue in this panel is expanding from assessment and then transformative ideology. Transformative pedagogy, and then technological instructional adaptation by Prof. Muhammad Sabri, and also with Ibu Sufit, it is about well-being, right? Yeah, this is very interesting. Trauma-informed school. Okay, let's see. Let's start with the participant in the room. Is there any question? You may raise hand. For Professor Dobson, since he cannot attend the session, so the question will be to Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi, Professor Technologist Dr. Muhammad Sabri, and Ibu Susi Fitri. Okay? Okay, yes, there's one question. Yes. In the Zoom? Is there any question in the chat room? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, we will start with okay, please. Oh. Okay, you may start first. Mr. Willem?
Willem, yeah.
Willem, yes.
Thank you so much for all this insightful information. I just have a question actually to all three, but especially to Professor Fitri. At the moment, the schools are reopened in the city of The Hague in the Netherlands, where we come. But actually, there is a lack of teachers, so they have to lock down the schools. Some of them they keep it secret where and what, because it's a trauma as well, because of a lack of teachers. And now that I've heard these three presentations, teachers have to be technically kind of literate. Teachers have to be deliver students as good workers and parts of society. And Professor Fitri was saying now they have also to become counselors in traumatic events which are all over the place. So how can it be attractive in these days to become a teacher with so many tasks? So how do you deal with that in Malaysia and Indonesia? Because in Holland we are really struggling to get teachers because all these commitments and all these jobs they have to combine. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih Bapak William. Yeah, it's very interesting question. Okay. We will have one more, and then we will ask the presenter, the speaker, to discuss it. Is there in the Zoom? Okay, please. Sabar ya Bapak. Okay, di Zoom, adakah pertanyaan di Zoom? Okay, can you read it? I cannot read that. Yeah. The question is to, okay, so this is to the three speakers. Sorry. How do we conduct autonomous learning effectively, especially in English learning? Okay. Okay. Oh, maybe. To Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi. Okay. I'm sorry. Is this? Yes. Now we will have the session, the answer session for the three speakers. Please, we will start with Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi or Professor Muhammad Sabri or Ibu Susi Fitri. You will start for the first question from Pak William.
Thank you, Pak William. I think you really point that today is very difficult for teachers to work because there are a lot of demand. How do they do? And there's lack of support, I think, for this teacher. And first, I think rather than focus on how teacher, this is important how teacher to develop this kind of skill, but also important, I think, to society to promote how we can support teacher. For example, if we want to teacher have good at technology, for example, is there society, whether it is government or private, funding that kind of technology? For example, we hope teacher can work from laptop, for example. Do they have support to buy laptop, for example? And if they have, they need to be in internet, for example. Is there any sector that provide it for them? So I think we need to invite all the sectors in our society to tell teachers that we support them to do their job. And I think that first about the technology, and the second thing is about how to become counselor for the students. I think in research in education, what make teacher find it burnout on tired is not the students, it's the management. It's the administrative, yeah. Jadi a lot of teacher has to do some administration, have to fulfill a lot of form, not user friendly form. Also, I think, but then if we help teacher and develop some kind of form that is important, but is user friendly, for example. That's why I invite people in application in a startup maybe to make some application that the teacher easily to fulfill, easily to work, I think that is easy to for the technology. I think that the technology is up for. Then they become, and then they have time and reduce their stress to, and they're able to connect with students and also connect to the peers, because usually what make teacher stay in certain school is also connection with their peers, right? Because they have good connection with for the colleagues, they want to stay in the school. But if they have bad connection due to stress, due to burnout, due to distress, then teacher will think that teacher is not a good profession. So I think we need to collect and mobilize all resource in our society together to support teachers, and then teacher can have good relationship with our student and develop what we think and we hope teacher can do to our education. Teacher obviously cannot do it by themselves, and it is, I think, unfair to demand them do something very good and very important to our society and to our students, but we refrain our support from them to them.
So they have to be independent. No. They are helpless, yeah. Well, now I want to. Okay, Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi. How do you respond to Pak Willem's question? Suara? Yeah. Bapak, excuse me. Suara Pak Zuhdi?
Apologize. Okay. I think Bu Susi already respond to Pak Willem's question very comprehensive. I mean, teachers have a lot of works and there are a lot of new skills that teachers need to have in addition to mastery the subjects. The teachers should, I mentioned earlier, teachers need to have empathy to students. That's exactly what our teachers have to have. Teachers should be conscious of the needs of the student, not only physical needs and also intellectual needs, but also psychological needs of the students. So I think the awareness of psychological situation of students is very important for teachers to have. Of course, not all teachers have to become a professional counselor, but I think understanding basic psychology of students is very important for every teacher. So that's my response to Pak Willem. So I think in every education faculty, teachers are learning about psychological development of students, and I think it's more important for future teachers to learn more practical information about psychological needs of students, not only theoretical normative information about psychological development, but more importantly, I think future teacher needs to learn case studies about the psychological needs of future students and how to respond to these psychological needs of the students, especially students with special experiences like trauma and learning difficulties and differences with other students. So I think teachers should have, minimum knowledge about those issues. And let me go on to the second question that asks about the autonomous learning. And my point about the autonomous learning, it happens now, students are learning from Google. When you ask your students about something, they might be able to answer before you teach them, especially the things that they are interested in learning by themselves. And that's why the most important thing for teachers, as I mentioned earlier, that there's a changing role of teachers, not only as a resource of information or resource of science and knowledge, but also to provide students with facilities, with links, or with online resources that they can learn by themselves. Now, the most important thing for teachers is again related to psychological needs of students, is motivating students to learn by themselves. Motivation is very important for students in learning, and how they can develop self-motivation to learn something new by building interest in the thing that I have to learn. And of course, it's related to the potentials that every student have. Every student has their own potential. We know about the multiple intelligences theory, and how teachers can learn about the different potentials that every student has, and how teachers can facilitate, or schools can facilitate, different potential that student has. And it is important to motivate them to have interest in learning, at least interest in something they're passionate with, something they want to learn more about, and make sure that students have something that they're interested in. Because in many cases we might find students who don't have interest in anything. That means they do not find what their interest yet, because some students might find difficulties to find their potentials. But in this case, teachers should be able to help students to find their interest. And I think at this point, counselor or psychologist might be able to help students to find their potential and their interest. Secondly, it's important for teachers to be able to create or produce learning resources that are enjoyable and engaging for students. It could be something printed, or it could be something visual, or something audiovisual that are recorded by teachers. A lot of teachers now being vlogger and able to create something interest for their students. I think we have to facilitate teachers to become content creators related to their expertise. I think Faculty of Education should be able to facilitate future teachers to become content creators, innovators in creating something interesting for their future students. That's all my response, Bu Rosida. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bapak Zuhdi. And now, please, Bapak Profesor Dr. Muhammad Sabri, are you with us?
Yeah, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay.
Inshallah, I will try to respond to the questions. Actually, I agree with the responses given by the two of our speakers, and maybe I'm really not want to repeat the responses, but I think the responsibilities of the teachers are really big. And for your information, in Malaysia, and I'm not sure about the other countries, we have the compulsory retirement age at 60. But because of the pandemic, the recent statistics from the 2 years show that there are increasing numbers of early retirement of 50. So maybe this is the effect of the pandemic, because they have to learn to use technology, and when we reach the certain level of age, we cannot adapt the new situation. So I think these are the challenges that we're facing right now. So that's why, because after the endemic, the Ministry of Education Malaysia, they open the big number of new teachers. They are recruiting the new teachers. So this situation causes the gap between the experienced teachers and new teachers. So in response to this, I think, and maybe the faculties of education in various countries, maybe we have to revise our teacher, the training of teachers in our curriculum, and also certain policies in education, which are related to the flexible education, and we have to be more flexible, and also the support for the teachers, maybe to revise the salary, or maybe not only to burden the teachers with all the responsibilities, the parents, the society. We have all of us to work together, because the education is the responsibility for all. And which the related, I'm interested to what has been mentioned by the second presenter, which related to digital use of content creators, and so I think also these are the challenges of the education, because I'm not sure this happened in Malaysia. After our secondary examination at secondary schools last year, the statistics show that the school learners, after their secondary examination, they show the decrease of intention to pursue their education to the higher education. Maybe because of the pandemic, they see that the salary is not attractive, or maybe after school education, they can pursue their career as a Grab driver, maybe there are many jobs that they can be done can be done online. So these are the challenges that we have to think together, that we have to make our society concerned and aware that education is not only solely related to the job only. So the education is beyond that, going beyond that to enhance our thinking skill. How do we think? How to we live together? So education is beyond the job seekers. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Muhammad Sabri. Yeah, thank you, Pak Willem, for the question, because actually your question made us realize that the condition of the teacher is right now is alarming. Yeah, alarming. That maybe the profession of teacher in the future is not as interesting as before. Okay, because there are so many tasks. But again, because this is Faculty of Education, and we also have to recognize these needs, and we also have to, as Professor Muhammad Sabri said, that we have to revise our training education. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the first session of Q&A, and now we are going to the second session. Is there any question from the participant in the Zoom? Okay, Pak Takidin. Wow, he is very loyal, loyal participant. Okay, please. Oh, I forgot. Ibu Mahmuda, please. Ibu Mahmuda. Okay. Senior.
Maaf, saya dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Silakan Ibu.
Mungkin pertanyaan yang akan saya tanyakan adalah untuk Bu Susi ya. tadi begitu menarik membahas tentang trauma, tapi saya tidak melihat satu sisi efek trauma dari COVID kemarin, pembelajaran siswa bahasa verba itu kan efeknya sangat, artinya gini, ketika guru tidak menatap siswa tapi berkomunikasi dengan alat elektronik, dengan HP, itu ketika terjadi kekerasan bahasa, saya lihat belum tersentuh pada pada paparan dari Ibu Susi. Misalnya anak-anak yang tadinya tidak berkomunikasi langsung dengan guru atau dengan temannya di kelas, hanya sibuk dengan gadgetnya. Nah, ketika terjadi keluarnya bahasa-bahasa kasar di dalam gadget tersebut, efek terhadap lawan komunikasinya itu tidak terkontrol. Nah, ini siapa yang bisa meneliti efek dari bahasa tersebut? Nah, alangkah baiknya mungkin nanti Bu Susi penelitian lanjut atau tulisan lebih meluas lagi meneliti dari efek dari bahasa verba tadi itu ya yang melalui gadget dari pembelajaran selama COVID. Itu saja pertanyaan saya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bu Mahmuda. Oke, satu pertanyaan lagi dari Zoom. Dan saya bisa dibantu untuk membacakannya ya, karena ada pertanyaan dari Zoom? Enggak kelihatan. Bisa diperbesarkah? Okay. Oh, this is also another question from Dr. Susi Fitri. Okay. How to keep the class conducive if there are students with severe trauma who sometimes relapse, triggered by something they see in the class. For example, there is a student who is traumatized by seeing sharpener. He actually immediately cried in the middle of the lesson when he saw it. How to deal with this situation and how we as teachers reduce or eliminate trauma to the students. Thank you. Okay. Now, yeah, there are two questions for Ibu Susi Fitri. Is there a question for other speaker in the Zoom? Okay, from for Professor Muhammad Sabri. Due to the pandemic, teachers have been expected to integrate digital technologies and are forced to become digital experts. But in practice, many teachers still struggle. So what can we do to overcome this struggle? Thank you. So, thank you. This is from Pak Dadan Hidayat, ya, Universitas Indraprasta, PGRI. Okay. Ibu Susi Fitri, you have two questions. Well, this is a bit different.
Oke, terima kasih Ibu. Memang kekerasan bahasa selama pandemik itu belum menjadi fokus riset saya ya. Tapi saya menyadari bahwa ada satu hal yang memang meningkat karena gadget ya. Karena karena hubungan di gadget yang anonymous sehingga bahasa menjadi tidak terkontrol. Saya pikir itu distinctive feature dari internet, karena internet memungkinkan orang memiliki dua diri yang berbeda. Ini juga bagian yang saya pikir belum banyak di riset. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman mau riset mengenai ini, itu sangat menarik. Dalam konseling saya juga kelihatan bahwa ada klien yang bercerita bagaimana dia menjadi orang yang sangat berbeda di internet. Mereka bilang punya avatar gitu ya, punya alter ego, alter self gitu ya, misalnya itu berbeda dengan dia yang sehari-hari. Dan saya pikir kita mulai dalam tanda kutip menuai mungkin ya generasi yang seperti ini gitu. Nah jadi bahwa verbal abuse can be traumatic, ya gitu. Tapi di sisi lain juga apakah ada special case ketika dia verbal abuse-nya dilakukan via online, terutama hal-hal yang sifatnya anonim gitu tuh banyak sekali. Saya pikir ini area riset yang sangat menarik untuk dieksplorasi lebih jauh ya. Kemudian yang kedua adalah bagaimana caranya kita menghadapi siswa yang traumatik ketika muncul di kelas ya, kambuh di kelas gitu kali ya. Yang pertama memang ketika kita berhadapan dengan traumatik, trauma itu membuat pikiran kita tidak di sini dan sekarang. Trauma akan membuat kita mengalami hal yang dulu di sini dan sekarang. Trauma is a past event that we experience it now. Itu yang that we really to understand. So that person feel like experience the past in now. Jadi apa yang penting kita lakukan pertama-tama adalah mengingatkan dia pada yang sekarang dia ngapain. Misalnya seperti tadi kalau nggak salah ya, sharpener, dia melihat a knife ya, pisau mungkin, hal-hal yang tajam, dan mengingatkan dia di masa lalu di situasi yang tidak aman. Nah, guru perlu, kalau dia anak-anak gitu dan it's okay, misalnya it's okay dalam pengertian mungkin same gender mungkin gitu ya, itu kan kita perlu hati-hati juga ya. Kita bisa memeluknya dari belakang, jangan dari depan gitu, untuk membuat dia merasa aman. Dan kemudian kita perlu mengatakan bahwa kamu sekarang ada di kelas, kamu bersama ibu, kamu bersama teman-teman, kamu aman gitu. Jadi kamu aman, kamu ada di sini sekarang, karena itu akan membuat pikiran dia come back to the presence gitu. Nah, kalau itu terlalu mengganggu di kelas, itu ada lebih baik dia dibawa keluar gitu, misalnya keluar kelas, dan kemudian kita melakukan hal yang sama. Jadi ketika orang mengingat hal yang traumatik, yang pertama kali harus dikasih tahu kepada dia, dan dia harus mengalami itu sebagai sesuatu yang real, itu adalah dia aman, dan sekarang dia berada dalam situasi yang berbeda dengan apa yang dialami sebelumnya. That first gitu. Nah, kemudian yang kedua, sebagai guru kita juga perlu sebenarnya ngobrol-ngobrol ringan sama anak-anak kita, atau saya biasanya seringkali menggunakan konten kuliah gitu ya untuk menggali pengalaman mereka gitu. Jadi seringkali ini yang kita miss opportunity ya. We can use our content to be able to know, to be able to have knowledge about students' experience. Saya selalu berusaha begitu, karena it's for me, maybe it's important they become a worker in the future, but the most important is that they understand themselves now, and I understand their experience now, and based on that data, based on that my knowledge, I can construct, I can build my teaching and learning based on how do they need that kind of content. So I think that's what important also. We don't have to be a counselor for all our students, but having knowledge and acceptance and validate their feeling, and sometimes that is enough.
Wow, thank you very much, Ibu Susi Fitri. Okay, we will go to Professor Muhammad Sabri. There is a question for you, Bapak Professor.
Assalamualaikum again. Thank you for the question. Actually, I'm also still supposed to be the expert user technology. Although now we are going towards the face-to-face teaching and learning situation. But I think this is my opinion, and also based on my experiences during the pandemic. In using technology, not all of us can be forced to be the expert. Maybe some of us can be only at the level of the normal user, generic user of the technology. So that's how before we trying to use any kind of technologies, we have to conduct the needs analysis. So the requirement between the different situations, different learning situation, different schools are different. So that I think we have to conduct the need analysis. What are the needs? What are the challenges, the obstacles at the schools, at the universities? Then we know what are the suitable strategies and also the suitable application and that we can use at our environment. So in response to the question, I think number one, we have to do the analysis, and number two, we have to divide our teachers, especially teachers or lecturers, based on the categories. Maybe there are different layers of the teachers, especially the normal users, and some of them we can appoint them to be the mentors, the mentor, the mentor for us to guide us on how to use technologies. And another layer will be the content creator. So that's how we can collaborate among each other. And another thing, because of pandemic of 2 years, I think we have I think in our database we have so many e-learning resources that we can still use now. So I think if we don't use these digital resources of learning resources, I think it will be a big waste of our education resources. So I hope my answer will fulfill what the expectation of our participant. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Muhammad Sabri. And I think, I'm sorry, Pak Takidin, but this is the last session for Q&A. Okay, but okay, you can ask in the next session, yeah. Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the great discussion and our greatest appreciation to our 4 invited speakers this morning. And it has been a fruitful exchange of ideas. And thank you for the audience this morning for your attention and question. And now we will have the session of token of appreciation. I will ask Pak Dr. Abdul Qadir to give the token of appreciation to our speakers. Yeah. Oh, this is plakatnya yang berikutnya. Oke. Okay. Ya.
Untuk selanjutnya penyerahan cindera mata untuk moderator kita akan disampaikan oleh sebelumnya yang online ya. Oke, mohon maaf untuk selanjutnya penyerahan cindera mata kepada narasumber kita yang online akan disampaikan oleh Kepala dari Balai Litbang Agama Jakarta. Kepada Bapak Samidi dipersilakan untuk maju ke panggung. Ya, mari tepuk tangannya untuk Bapak Samidi.
langsung diklik kita saja. Langsung klik ya. Oh ya, sebut aja. Terima kasih. Oh ya. Kami serahkan sertifikat untuk pembicara berikut yaitu Bapak Muhammad Zuhdi MED PhD. Kami serahkan kepada beliau. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya dalam pelaksanaan NACEM yang ke-8 ini. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak.
Iya. Apa lagi? Satu lagi. Ya. Kami berikan kepada Profesor Dr. Muhammad Sabri bin Syahrir sebagai rasa penghormatan kami atas partisipasinya dalam penyelenggaraan International Conference on Education in Muslim Society ini. Terima kasih.
Untuk selanjutnya penyerahan sertifikat secara langsung untuk moderator. Iya betul. Terima kasih banyak kepada Bapak Samidi dan juga kepada seluruh speakers.
Thank you. Yeah. Now the second session this morning will end it, and I will end it with another pantun. Okay. Buah selasih renyah rasanya, sehat buat kita semua. Terima kasih kepada para pembicara. Semoga sehat dan bahagia. Satu lagi ya. Masih ada lagi. Beli apem ke Kota Medan, jauh banget ya. Jangan lupa buah selasih. Sampai jumpa di ICAPS tahun depan. Cukup sekian dan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, so much for all of the wonderful speakers and our wonderful moderator. Okay, have applause everyone. Okay, I would also thank you so much for your enthusiasm for joining this event. Okay, so the agenda after this is a break session. So the break session will be held until 1 p.m. and please be back to this conference hall at before the appointed time. Okay, let's enjoy the break event and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
kasih.